Massachusetts.
Good evening. This is a public meeting of the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for February 24th, 2014. Before we get started, if everybody could check their electronic devices, make sure they're off. And second of all, if you plan on speaking on behalf of a petition, will you please sign in at the podium with your name and address before addressing the board. First order of business is under new business. This is ZB 2014-7. The petitions of variance for dimensional requirements. The applicant is Common Ground Development Corp., property located at 430 Broadway Street. The petitioner seeks a variance to modify an existing structure to repurpose the ground floor from commercial use into 3 residential units without meeting lot area per dwelling unit requirements pursuant to section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening, Councilor. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Attorney George Theodorou, representing Common Ground Development Corporation. With me today also is Mr. Steve Jonkus, who's the Director of Real Estate Development, and Mr. William Lipschitz, who's the Director of Real Estate Operations, as well as the engineer on the project, Matthew Hammer. Common Ground Development Corporation, a little background on them, is a nonprofit. They are a wholly owned subsidiary of Community Teamwork. Community Teamwork is one of the largest nonprofits in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And Common Ground Development was created by Community Teamwork to two major functions with respect to housing: to preserve affordable housing in the Merrimack Valley area, and also to manufacture, to construct, to contribute additional affordable housing in the Merrimack Valley area. And along with that, and working with Community Teamwork, which is the nonprofit that provides job sourcing, job training to individuals throughout the region. They work hand in hand. Now, this property at 430 Broadway was purchased by Common Ground Development in 2008. It was a 14-unit residential building that houses low-income housing for various income levels. And as part of the financing, when it was purchased in 2008, and part of the financing that is going to be used to develop this, the housing requirements are going to be kept in perpetuity for low-income housing. So there's not going to be any distinction there. Now, what Common Ground Development has a first-floor unit that was used for storage. They were looking for something to do with it. It's a bit of an economic drain on the building itself and the resources there. So what they have proposed to do is to take this first-floor unit and to convert it into 3 apartments. 2 3-bedroom apartments and 1 2-bedroom apartments. There's not going to be any other addition to the building. There's not going to be any site work to the building. We're not adding on to the exterior of the building. We are going to just convert that space into 3 residential units. And the importance of this is, number one, it takes an economic drain and turns it into a development project, and at the same time, it will serve a very important role in housing homeless families. And these are not homeless families that are going to move in there for transitional purposes, to move in there and transition someplace else. This is permanent housing for the homeless families. And at the same time, while they are there living in that community, which is zoned as an urban mixed use, they will receive various employment services from Community Teamwork so they can get some job training, obtain permanent jobs, and be valuable members of the community. At the same time, while doing that, this area is well suited in that there's services provided for shopping, supermarkets, drugstores. All those services are provided to them within safe pedestrian access. Now, in order to go ahead and complete this project, in many meetings that we've had with planning and development, one obstacle that we had to overcome was the parking requirement, which we did. We had a hearing before the planning board. We were before the planning board last week, and we were able to satisfy those requirements through a special permit that allowed us to decrease. We needed an additional 15 spaces at this site. 34 spaces are required. We needed an additional 15, so we're able to fulfill that by the relief under the zoning ordinance by applying for the use of public spaces at the Stocklosa School, which is in close proximity within 1,500 feet, which is allowed for under the zoning ordinance. So this was unanimously approved at the planning board last week and endorsed by them. And now we're before the zoning board to obtain variances for lot area per dwelling unit. There are 17 units there. We're shy, about 41 square feet for each unit. So we're minimally shy on that account with respect to the lot area per dwelling unit. We need just over 17,000 or 17,000 square feet. We have 16,855 on the site. So we're asking for a variance with respect to that. And also, one of the units is 846 square feet. It's the two-bedroom units is just shy from 900 square feet, which is required under the ordinance. So we've also asked for relief on that. This is a wonderful project for community teamwork. It's going to serve a valuable function in the acre. We have a letter from the city manager that is fully endorsed, saying that this complies with the acre revitalization plan. At the same time, this also complies with the city's master plan in reducing homelessness in the area within the next 10 years. Also, I just want to point out an important distinction is that we're not adding on to the building. We're not changing anything to the building. There's not going to be any excavation. It's just taking the existing space on the first floor and converting that into three units. We have gone ahead and worked with DPD with respect to the parking plan there. We have adequate access for handicap parking, which is sited in the back of the building, right near the rear entrance to it. So it's in full compliance, and each of our spaces here are in compliance as well. Also, we felt that we met the requirements with respect to, practically speaking, with respect to the snow storage and the trash storage on site. So we would ask for your support in this. It's an important project, and it's something that we have moved very aggressively to go forward. And I think there are multiple plans that you may have in front of you, but there's the one plan that was dated, I believe, and there's a notation on it of February 18th, and that's the most recent plan, because due to the fact that we were so aggressive in filing these matters, we had recently updated the plan just a couple of days before the public hearing for the planning board. So there's a February 18th plan, which is here, and you should have it in your packet. So if you would like to open this up to any questions.
So I guess the first thing Swati, so based on the councilor's overview, what date did you go to the planning board?
February 20th, last Thursday.
Last Thursday, okay. Yeah, because usually, it shows you how exciting my life is. I tend to watch the planning board meetings, but
Because of the Monday holiday, they put it over to Thursday.
I wasn't thinking they were meeting on Thursday. So, Mr. Theodoros mentioned they're only here, really, it sounds like, for the lot area per dwelling. Is that true?
Yes.
All right, so anything around parking, I know the new set of plans have been submitted. I was going to ask some questions about parking, but it sounds like the parking has been, the requirement has been met. They get, I guess, some
With the special
additional
permit,
spaces
yes.
off-site, so that's been addressed. So we're only talking about the lot area
Yes, per dwelling unit,
per dwelling unit?
yes.
There's one other one. There's the lot area per dwelling unit plus the undersized unit, which is 846 square feet.
Yes, and that's more of a building permit.
well, I kind of think the two of them are the same, but that's okay. I just want to make sure what we were entertaining, I don't want to waste time if you've already gone to planning board and you've already kind of gone through a lot of the stuff that we normally do. So why did you have to go to planning board?
We had to go to planning board because we didn't have enough parking on the site. We needed 34 spaces, and so we needed to
Should've
obtain
just come to us,
a special permit.
Yeah, okay, what's that? Yeah, okay. All right, so you're all set for now? Okay. All right, I'm going to open it up to the public at this point. Anyone here like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor, in favor? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? Opposition, opposition. Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. I'd like to open it up to the board. Van.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I just want to say that anytime where you can take a building that's underutilized and convert it to something that is useful, not just useful for the organization, but useful throughout the community, it's something that really benefits and impacts like people's lives in a tremendous and positive way. I think it's always a good addition. So, I had a chance to watch the planning board meeting, and you guys went through a lot of discussion and talks about parking and other requirements. So, I think this is a very detailed plan, and I definitely support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Van. Melissa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. I also want to echo what my colleague Van just said about helping out the community. I really like how you're utilizing this space. I did have a few questions, mostly curiosity questions. I noticed the letter from the city manager to DHCD. Is there any updates on that application?
Yeah, well, that's part of the aggressive stance that we took in the application process. We had deadlines to meet with DHCD, and we started that right away. I don't know if we have any of the approvals yet, but we've started the application process, and part of that was meeting these time deadlines.
Gotcha. Thank you. I noticed in the city comments there was a question regarding landscaping, and so I just wanted to know if the applicant was interested in considering putting landscaping along Broadway.
We are sensitive to that, and we did discuss it at the planning board, and we thought that there's something that we could do. The front of the building has a little green space with a very nice wrought iron fence around it, and we thought that we could complement that with some either some ornamental grasses or some bushes there,
Great.
and so that we would go ahead and do that.
Okay, wonderful. And then my last question is, I know you're doing a conversion for the first floor unit. Are you going to make any architectural changes, like on the elevations at all? Just
No,
curious.
none.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just ask a couple questions here, but, so you're going for a variance and not a special permit,
That is correct.
but some of the documentation we received kind of listed as going for a special permit. So it's definitely a variance,
Yes.
okay. And then also, some of the documentation lists the existing building as receiving or having 13 residential units. And you're saying in some of your new documentation
It
today
is-
that it's 14 units.
That is correct. It is 14 residential units. And it's 14 residential units, and with the conversion of the first floor space, it will add 3 units, so it'll have a total of 17 units.
So on the upper levels, you have,
14.
okay, it's a 4-story building or a 3-story building?
It's a 3-story building.
So there's no units in the basement or anything?
No.
They're all above? And so there's 2 stories above, and each story has 7 units in it?
I think they're broken. They could have 7 units, yes. 7 units each for the 14. That's correct.
So there's 7 units per floor, and then on this ground floor, we only have 3 units.
We'll have 3 units, that's correct.
So the upper units must be 1 bedroom, or how many
There are some studios that are less than 1 bedroom,
studios? Okay.
and there are some 1 bedrooms, and there's a very small number of 2-bedroom units.
I feel better about the reduced parking, I guess, knowing that the number of bedrooms on the upper levels are smaller, or maybe
And-
studios.
We've also offered some testimony at the planning board in discussions with the property manager that 8 apartments have cars on the premises. So all the units don't have cars. There are only 8 cars on the premises.
Okay. The building itself, does it have an elevator? I don't see it on the plan.
No, does not have an elevator.
So we have an opportunity here on this lower level to provide the only units in the building that would be handicapped accessible?
That's correct.
Okay, are we providing handicapped accessibility to the lower level?
Yes.
And that's through the door at the rear of the building?
That's exactly it, through the door to the rear. Where you see the handicap space, it's done through the door to the rear there, which is the easiest access.
There's a concrete ramp on the plan, and I assume that concrete ramp is the access point. Great. I think that's wonderful that we're providing handicapped accessible units here for this building, so I really think that's a big plus. Okay. So the special permit is really just in regards to the reduction in the site. Okay, I guess that's it. I guess I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Couple of things. We received a letter from the city engineer. Did you have a chance to take a look at that? Okay.
We do. We don't have any objections to what the city
Okay.
engineer
yeah.
proposed.
So I guess the two things that I kind of stood out to me was providing the stormwater mitigation. Is that something that you'll take care of? Can you address that?
You're talking about the February 20th letter from Lisa DeMayo?
Yes, yep. Yeah, and I went through the list of, the concerns. We just got this tonight, which, I've always warned people, I don't like getting things at the last minute, so that's why we're asking now. So I don't even know if you had, that's why I asked, did you get a chance to take a look through this?
Yeah, we don't have any issues with what Lisa DeMayo proposed in
Yeah.
her letter.
So the last bullet, since you went before the planning board, talking about different property lines at the back of the property, do you know what that's in relation to?
At one point, we didn't have all of the research done with respect to the site plan, and we had to do some additional research, some additional title work, and some additional engineering to properly set the bounds in the rear. We had all the storms, and we couldn't find any of the markings outside to do that, to find them. So when we wanted it to go ahead and make the filing, we didn't have it completely set.
Okay. So I guess one of the conditions I'll put on this is that the letter of February 20th from the city engineer, that the applicant will meet and fulfill all the requirements unless you or your client has any issues with any of those requests.
No, we're fine with
Okay,
that.
great. And I guess the next thing I'll just mention, and I should have mentioned at the opening of the public, was we did also receive a letter from the city manager expressing his support for this project. So I just wanted to officially read that into the record also. All right, thank you. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions. As it relates to the dumpster, it'll be screened in accordance to the zoning code. Seems you have a fair amount of snow storage, which seems to be key of this time of year. Is that going to just be flat surface? It's going to remain that way, non-usable? Did it ever?
Yeah, from a look at this plan and an examination of the site, that we have enough space around the perimeter of the site to go ahead and keep it for snow storage. And we will work with the property manager. Peabody Properties manages all the properties for Common Ground Development, and CTI. And as it is needed, we would remove snow from the premises if it impedes parking for the residents.
And how about off-season debris, sand, end-of-season sand? Will that be removed as a spring cleanup process?
That will be cleaned up as well.
Okay.
That's all part of the management, property management.
I think it's a great project. You know, I know CTI is a valuable member of not only our community, but throughout the Commonwealth. The updated plans that were dated on the 18th, I do appreciate it, but I will echo the sentiments of the chairman. Getting some of these late plans tonight and these updated, you know, does give us a little, you know, does as a board member, doesn't really give you a full time to review those, so we always make that known to the public and other petitioners through the DPD if we could just get some of these things a little earlier. I think it's a wonderful project. I was happy to hear about the handicap accessibility in the rear of the building through my colleague. It satisfies the needs, and I wish you the best of luck over there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Mike?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just to repeat or echo some of the comments that were already said about certainly this project continuing to fit into the acre renewal plan and the manager's 10-year plan to end homelessness. Obviously fits in with those. And so I don't have any questions about anything that's already been asked as far as parking and things like that. I do just have a question. I was wondering about will there be any management presence in the building or anyone from CTI? You mentioned a developer or counselor. Will they have a presence in the building?
They'll have ongoing access with the residents there as part of their outreach programs for job services and job placement. And all the services of CTI and Common Ground will be available to them.
Okay, thank you.
Swati, besides city engineer, did we receive any other comments from any other city departments?
No, not for the
Okay.
variance.
Did-
We had a few comments for specific to the site plan review with the traffic. So those were all addressed as part of the parking, parking
Yeah.
orientation being more aligned to for
Okay.
handicap parking in the
Um,
back.
Were there any city comments at the planning board, to your knowledge?
No.
No? Okay. Well, just one thing I noticed, I don't see it on the plans, and I'm not, I guess based on what I'm hearing, when you're not here for us to really do our normal review of this project, but I drove in, I didn't see any signs, for instance, where's the enter and where's the exit, and to be honest with you, I drove in, I guess I'll say, facing the building on the left, that I just tended to go in. It looked like that's where you entered, and I went all the way around the building, and as I got on the other side, it really seemed to decrease in width, and then I said, well, if people are gonna live here, where does it tell you, even if you were on Broadway and you were new to the area, do you want just a regular
That was
circle
touched
flow
upon,
of-
that was discussed at the meeting, and we did agree to go ahead and put up signs to show the entrance and the exit.
And those aren't reflected on the new plans?
No, they're
are they?
not.
Okay.
They're not. But as you, from visiting the site, it's, you could go ahead and you know
Sure.
exactly where they're going to be.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, when I drove in there and went around, and I'll say on the westerly side, because there's so much snow built up over there, I started looking at I couldn't tell if there was parking there, no parking. Then I said, if there's parking, they must be in horizontally. I can't see them going in angled, just led me into a bunch of other questions. So I guess I'll leave it to the planning board that they did their due diligence with you. And obviously, the fire department must be fine with the site as far as, especially, I'll call it that westerly side. Okay, so I think what I heard in the comments from the board members was, I have two conditions here, and one would be the city engineer's letter that we received this evening, dated, what was it? Yeah, 2/20. And I also just want to put into the record that we received a new set of plans dated the February 18th, 2014. And it sounds to me like, you're here for the variance for the lot area per dwelling unit. I think I echo what the other board members have said. Obviously, I think the proof is in the pudding with the project, and I think this organization has been here before, maybe with some other single families in the future. Everything that's been done has been, Class A work. So I envision this also being a win-win for the city, and as far as meeting the requirements of the variance, I believe the applicant has met those. Any other board members have any comments? Yes, sir.
Through Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask, the units themselves are going to be heated and cooled. I imagine there's going to be mechanical units located somewhere. Are they located on the site? Are you adding condensers on the site somewhere for air conditioning, or how's that being handled?
Steve? Yeah.
Right now, we have Steve Jonkus, Common Ground Development Corp., 155 Merrimack Street. The other 14 units all have their condensers up on the roof, so presumably the architect will be, and the MEP folks will be designing it in the same fashion.
Okay, so there'll be some,
They won't be on the ground outside in the parking lot, if that's what you're asking.
I'm hoping you're not going to put them on the ground, because
Right,
it's already
that's right.
not much room. Just looking at this fire escape and everything, so, okay,
Yeah.
that'd be great if they could be located on the roof. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, can I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us is ZB 2014-7 for a variance at 430 Broadway Street. I make a motion to approve with the following conditions. The letter submitted to the city engineer dated 2/2014 be submitted as conditions, and this board accepts the new plans submitted today's meeting dated 2/18/14.
Have a second?
Second motion?
Have a roll call?
Mr. Perrin,
Approve.
Mr. Peck,
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy,
Approve.
Mr. Paglia,
Approved?
Ms. Carino,
Approve.
Yeah, you can forget about the chairman, that's okay.
Mr. Bailey.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Approved with conditions.
Thank you.
Okay, sir, you've been approved with conditions. Wish you the best of luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yep. Okay, our next matter before us is ZB 2014-8. The petition's a special permit for use. The applicant is Tony Sala. The property is located at 1088-1100 Gorham Street. Petition, the petitioner seeks a special permit to operate a dog daycare facility pursuant to Article 12, Table of Uses of the zoning ordinance. Good evening, sir.
How you doing?
If you can just introduce yourself, please.
Tony Sala. I'm the owner and operator of Crazy Canines.
Okay. And if you can, I know we got a lot of stuff here that we looked through, and I'm sure we all took a ride out there. I think most of the members of the board were on this board for a different petition, but can you tell us about what your plans are, please?
We're looking into opening a 30-dog daycare for
Okay.
30 dogs per day, just for exercise and socialization. Some retail in front, dog training stuff, no food, nothing like that, just training treats.
Yep. Now, the retail part of it, if this is primarily going to be people dropping their dogs off for the day and then
Yes,
picking
and
them up,
picking them up at night.
is the retail, I would assume, is going to be a very small part of the business,
Very
correct?
small. Just to complement, kind of like
Somebody forgets, instead of going to the grocery store, they
Exactly, it's right there.
figure they're going to pick up their
guilty pleasures.
dog food?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Have you been in the business before?
I have. I was a co-owner of a dog daycare in Littleton for 2 years, and I do dog walking and training right now.
Okay. Swathi, as far as this type of operation, is there anything with the License Commission at all, or is this strictly come before zoning and that's it?
It's a zoning,
Okay.
yeah.
So License Commission, now this Board of Health, do they oversee visits at the site, do you know?
I'm not sure, but I can check into that.
Okay. Well, did you receive, again, I didn't receive any
No, we didn't
comments from the
receive any
city
comments.
department, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask the questions, okay. So the total square footage that you're going to occupy, do you have that?
It's 2,000 square feet inside,
Yep,
and we're looking for a small outdoor area to complement that.
right. Okay, so that's in the project application documentation, 2,000. And then, so Swathi, based on the 2,000 square feet, it has a calculation of total spaces required of 7 is the calculation, correct?
Yes.
Yep,
It's fine.
okay. And the parking over there, I'd assume, is shared parking,
Yes.
correct? All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if, since I've been on this board, I don't know if we've had, you know if this is maybe the first? Well, we had, I know there was one on Lawrence Street, if I remember now that I, of course, correct myself. Oh, yeah, okay, so I made a liar of myself already, so. There was already 2 before, so I guess I'm an expert at this stuff, right? Okay. Well, there was, did you receive the comments that came back from Department of Planning and Development, some concerns that
I
they
did,
had?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So can you just maybe address those, please, if you
Sure.
have them in front of you?
I think the first one was the dumpster.
Yep.
We're going to share the dumpster that's already on site. So
Okay.
we're just going to get a bigger one and keep it right where it is.
Okay. So is it going to be just designated just for your business?
It's not going to be just for us. It's going to be for whoever is currently occupying that building. So it's going to be us and the grocery store, I think.
Okay. Well, I guess I would hope that the landlord, I guess, of the site, if he had any concerns about, I'll put it this way, you commingling,
It was his idea.
okay,
He wanted to share the dumpster.
okay,
Yeah, why, I don't know, but.
yeah, okay,
The other one, I think, is for overnight boarding. We haven't decided on that yet because the landlord hasn't decided on that yet. I personally don't kind of want it because I don't want to spend the night there. Someone has to be there 24 hours a day if there's a dog on site. So we haven't quite figured that part out yet, but that's pending the owner's approval.
so, do you know what the business hours are going to be at this point?
7 to 7 as of right now will be the daycare hours, and then I
That-
plan on doing training until 9.
5 days, 6 days?
5 days a week. We will be open Saturday for limited hours, like 10 to 6.
Okay.
And then Sunday, we plan on being closed.
Closed, okay. Before I close, yeah, yeah, so they had the comment, the city had the comment in here about if there was overnight, that the
The fire
notification of
department.
the fire department. Okay. So they talk about the outdoor fence.
Outdoor fence, I'm not sure what the question was on that. The applicant has noted an outdoor fence area as a component of the proposed use. Sure. We're looking at probably 18 by 48 feet or 16 by 48 feet of space. We'll be putting some sort of rock underneath for drainage and cleanup. We'll double fence it. It'll be a stockade fence and then a chain link inside for double security, so there's no escaping.
So there's not going to be any, like, temporary structures out there at all?
No.
Is there? Okay, so it's purely a either walking exercise area?
Yes, it's pretty much just for potty.
So the dog's staying on site at all times? In other words, you're not walking them over to the Butler School or up and down Gorham Street? Or?
Once they're there, that's where they're staying until they're picked up.
Okay, okay.
And the signage, we're not planning on having a sign that lights. We're just planning on having just a regular straight-up sign.
Yep.
So
I know I was asking Swati about maybe other city departments, but what type of licensing do you have to have, or what would be posted inside that says you can do this type of business?
as far as I know, it's just a business permit. That's it. There's no licensing that I know of to date.
Okay. Well, it's not this board's jurisdiction to.
Sure.
I just thought I'd ask that question. I don't even know if I ever asked it of the previous petitioners in here. I did? Okay, thank you. Okay, anything else you want to tell us about it?
No, it's pretty straightforward. You drop your dogs off and you pick them up. They're there for exercise and socialization. That's the two most causes of dogs being given up. Lack of socialization and they destroy things when they're bored. So
I guess maybe the last thing I'll ask is, how many, besides yourself, how many other employees will be there?
we're planning on 4 at a time, 2 in the morning, 2 at night.
Okay, yep. I was going to say 1 or 2 people with 30 dogs might be interesting.
Yep.
Okay, going to open it up to the public. Anyone here like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? Favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? 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 Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Excuse me. Van?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I just had a quick question to the applicant. On one of the documentation, it says all the dogs will be up to date on the shots and be tested. Are you gonna like ask for paperwork as they come in? Is there like a whole intake process?
Yeah, I'll have their vet fax over
Oh,
all their documents, and I'll be doing the temperament testing myself. So they have to be completely up to date without any. It's kind of like a child daycare.
Yeah.
You know, once one dog gets sick, we call the folks, come and get them and get them out, because one dog can affect the whole thing. So they have to have a clean fecal, clean bill of health, clean everything before we can even allow them in.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's the only question I had. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Melissa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm a dog lover, and I'm very appreciative that this business is coming to Lowell. And it's good to hear about your experience as well. Just curious, just because I know when I had a dog, it was they will go whenever they need to.
Pretty much.
So I'm hearing that you're sharing a dumpster, and that I did read the email that Waste Management will pick it up as long as the
Bagged.
boobs are bagged. So I just wanted to know, are you going to supply bags to your customers outside, like especially
Yes.
in the parking lot or
Yes,
by the dumpster?
and we're going to discourage them using anywhere but inside our facility. We're going to try to get them not even to use the parking lot, any kind of area near anything. We want them to bring their dog right in from the car. We'll bring them right outside.
Okay, great. And I don't know if this was addressed earlier, and I apologize if it did. If you do eventually maybe open it up to overnight stays, would you be open for us conditioning that you have to notify the fire department?
Yes,
Okay. great.
absolutely.
Thank you. That's it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Melissa. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think this is a great use for this location, and I think this is a good fit, so I'd just like to get a little bit of clarification. The fenced-in area in the back, the plan shows 2 spaces with gates on them,
Yes,
and they're double fenced.
yes.
So how many dogs are going to be located in each one at a time?
It
and what
depends
kind
on
of
how many
noise?
dogs are there. The two spaces, one's for big dogs, one's for small dogs.
Yep.
So it's ideally, 10 and 10. But it's more for, what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the dogs from inside and outside. So there's 2 play areas inside. So we'll take the big dogs out first, let them be out there for however long, bring them back in, and then we'll bring the small dogs out. So we're going to try to keep them separated inside and outside.
So, dogs bark, I imagine, outside
Oh,
in
yeah.
the play area, so it's going to get a little noisy.
It could, yep.
So is there any system for mitigating the noise?
They sell outdoor pads that you can attach to the fencing that should dampen the sound, and they also sell them that you can hang up. I don't know if there's any place to hang them from the building, but we can line the fencing with them, as it's a noise barrier.
So, are you providing some kind of assurance that the noise will be managed?
We will if we have to. When I was the owner in Littleton, there wasn't a whole lot of noise. The surrounding area kind of dampened it out. It's in the back of the building too, so it's away from everything. But if we have to put the paddings up, we will. Absolutely.
Swathi, don't we have noise requirements that you can't increase the decibel level off your property line by over 10 decibels, I believe?
The noise ordinance is actually enforced by the police department, so usually, if you remember one of the, the previous petitions, we cannot enforce it until it becomes sort of like an issue. So we can definitely recommend design precautions, but we don't have like any set standards which say beyond a certain decibel cannot be allowed.
Put a condition about the city noise ordinance. In fact, I think the health department's the one that actually monitors that, but they call it the police.
Yes.
I can tell you if there's an issue with noise, we'll address that. We'll take care of that. We don't want to be in that environment either.
That's my only big concern, and I think that it's important for the dogs to be able to go outside, so
Sure.
I really want to see that happen, but I just think you need to have a solution for
Sure.
noise, so.
And
I'm glad
they
to
do
hear-
sell noise
Yep.
canceling.
Yep.
They're like 4x8 pads. So,
Now, the unit that you're taking is Unit 2?
Mhm.
And you have access to this outdoor area in the rear of that unit, behind Unit 3, and the fencing is behind Unit 4A and 4B,
okay,
correct?
yes.
And so how do these other units feel about the dogs being?
They're
there?
unoccupied.
Right. Okay, so it's a little bit untested, but we'll see how
Yep.
that works out.
To be determined.
To be determined. Okay. That's it, I think, for questions, and I think this is a good idea in this location, so I wish you luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to echo my colleagues. It's nice to see that particular piece of property that's been upgraded over the years start to get some well-liked businesses. And I think your business is going to do very well. As a dog owner of a couple dogs, I think that's valuable that you have that socialization piece. As far as the fence in backyard, I would just, caution you to, try to maintain that the best you can.
Oh, yeah.
There are deodorizers out there. You can definitely turn your soil.
Yep.
You don't have neighbors to date, but eventually, that piece of property will have occupants. It's a
Sure.
nice piece of property. I think the chairman answered the questions on the hours of operation. You noted your number of employees. Just as it relates to the training, is the training going to be? You said the training will be completed until 9 p.m. Is that throughout the day?
Yeah.
The training's inside as well as outside?
No outside.
No
All
outside
inside.
training?
Yep,
It's
no
all
outside
indoor
training. It's all inside.
Good for you.
Mhm.
Good for you. So you looked at all the project summary notes from DPD. I know the chairman and myself will have a couple of conditions which are already posted in this, and I wish you the best of luck with your new business.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Mike?
I just have a couple of comments. Unlike some of my board members, I happen to be allergic to dogs, so I'm not prejudicing my vote right now, but, and also my brother has a dog that doesn't like me.
Okay.
But again, that's not going to come into to play with my vote. And most of the question, or the questions that I had were already asked and answered, especially regarding the outside area, and then what Dennis just asked about if and when units 3, 4A, and B are, you know, if the property owner is trying to fill those units, I suppose it could be a conflict down the road, but you'll already be there, so I guess it would be up to the prospective tenants to
people.
decide whether they want to go ahead, but.
Yep.
Okay, that's it for me, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know if anybody asked this, but there was are you doing coaching and training?
I do.
Okay. So is the expectation the business is going to be primarily drop off and come pick up my dog at the end of the workday?
Yep.
Or how much of the training and coaching would be involved?
Training and coaching will be at night, 1 to 2 days a week. Small group classes, maybe just 3 dogs at a time. The area is kind of small to spread out. So it's going to be real small, and I'm terrible in front of groups. So the smaller the class for me, the better.
Yep.
But it's going to be limited.
Okay. So I guess as far as people, I'm just thinking if you're going to have, say you had 30 dogs at one time, the vast majority of them probably going to be dropped off mornings by people traveling to work and coming back at the end of the day.
Yep.
So if you had 30 cars all show up at the same time, I'm assuming, I know the site is pretty spread out, and there's no businesses currently next door to you on either side, so there's the retail in front.
Yep.
Like right. Yeah, because I'm sure with the school next door there, first thing in the morning.
Could be kind of crazy.
I would assume there's already heavy traffic there anyway, so your business coming in, it's not like it's going to disrupt it, but I guess, you know, I'm just kind of pointing that out for you.
Sure. Yep.
So it sounds like at the end of the day, maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever, 6, most of those people are just returning. It's kind of a quick stop
Real quick.
off, pick up.
Who's your dog? Here you go, out the door.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure what your plans were on the coaching or the training.
After hours, 7 to 9.
Yep, okay. Okay, so, Swathi, I don't think there was anything else. I know we received a lot here, but kind of talked more around the site per se. And I don't think I've heard anything from any of the board members or even myself that the business doesn't fit there. Is there anything else that you want us to consider
With
here?
regard to the sign, we just need to make sure that, he's aware that he needs a building permit, even if it's a non-illuminated sign.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
that's
Yeah, so we'll put that in as a condition. All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Sure.
about the sign?
Sure.
There's already a sign there, right, for the entire development?
In front, yes.
So you would
On
maybe
Aquarun
just be
Street.
adding,
We'll add like a little slot to
right,
that.
one of those slide in, so there's
Yeah,
already a
But then we'll
sign.
be putting one in front, up top.
So that must have already been approved by the board maybe previously, or? When that whole site was being redeveloped?
each time a sign goes, it's per business.
Okay,
So that is, unless, if it's an internally illuminated sign, it goes to a zoning board review, but otherwise it goes through an administrative review with our office,
okay,
so.
okay, thank you.
Okay, I think I'm all set.
One
and-
more, through you, Mr. Chairman, one comment. What is your, excuse me, through you, Mr. Chairman, what is your anticipated opening date?
We're hoping, as soon as we find out this, we have to work out some of the terms on the lease, and I'm hoping in the next 2 months.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, I believe, if I look at the criteria that we use for the special permit, this is kind of not a unique business, but it is in a way. So if I look at the prerequisites or the criteria that are required for a special permit, You know, community need, I could see a community need, the traffic flow and safety. I don't think there's any, even though I brought that up, we talked about the parking, I think we covered that. The utilities, that's not really applicable. Neighborhood character and social structures. Now, I know in some of our write-up material we got from DPD, talked about, it's kind of a mixed-use area down there anyways, between there's residential there, there's a cemetery there, there's a public school right next door, there's a smattering of small businesses from a retail perspective, so I don't see where this business, you know, is out of character for the area. Impacts natural environment, none, and, you know, the fiscal impact, you know, I think I'm sure the owner of the building's happy to get somebody to come in there and occupy space, and maybe while they're picking up a bag of dog food, they're next door buying some milk. But all in all, you know, I think it's a good project, and so with that said, could I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us, ZB 2014-8, for a special permit at 1088-1100 Gorham Street. I make a motion to approve with the following conditions. 1, the owner follows the cited conditions submitted in the project summary by DPD dated February 18th, 2014. 2, the owner will maintain, if any, all license required to operate the business. And 3, the owner must attain a building permit to construct a business sign.
Second the motion.
Okay. Before we take the vote, you all set with those conditions, sir?
I am, yep.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Bailey?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Paglia?
Approve with conditions?
Ms. Carino?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. McCarthy?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Peck?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Perrin?
Approve with conditions.
Okay, sir. Been approved. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, next order of business is other business. This is the minutes from December 9th, 2013. Any comments in regards to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, could I have a motion, please?
Through Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the minutes of our December 9th, 2013 meeting.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second that.
A roll call?
Mr. Bailey?
Approved.
Mr. Paglia?
Approved?
Ms. Carino?
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy?
Approved.
Mr. Peck?
Approve.
Mr. Perrin?
Approve.
Thank you.
Okay, next order of business is the annual election of officers. And what we're reviewing tonight and voting on are the positions of chairperson, vice chairperson, and clerk. So I would like to start with the chairperson position. Could I have a nomination, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I make a nomination to nominate William Bailey, Chairman, Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay, any other nominations? Hearing none, could I have a vote, please?
Mr. Perrin?
Approve.
Mr. Peck?
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy?
Approve.
Ms. Carino?
Approve.
Mr. Paglia?
Approve?
Mr. Bailey?
Approve. Okay, the next position we'll entertain is the vice chairperson. Could I have a nomination, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Gary Perrin as the vice chairman position.
Any other nominations? Hearing
Mr.
none.
Chairman, I would
Yep.
like to nominate Mr. Dennis McCarthy.
Okay, any other, so since we have two names, we're going to vote this time by names. So could I have a roll call, please?
So this is for Mr. Perrin first, and then
Well,
Mr. McCarthy?
I assume what we would do is each member would vote the name.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Gary Perrin,
Mr. Paglia,
Mr. Perrin,
Ms. Carino,
Mr. McCarthy?
Mr. McCarthy,
Mr. Perrin,
Mr. Peck,
Mr. McCarthy?
Mr. Perrin,
Mr. Perrin.
So we have four votes for Mr. Perrin and 2 for Mr. McCarthy.
so it's Mr. Perrin, correct? All right, the next position we'll vote on is clerk. Could I have a nomination, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I nominate Dennis McCarthy for clerk of ZBA.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bailey,
Mr. McCarthy.
Mr. Paglia,
Mr. McCarthy,
Ms. Carino,
I approve Mr. McCarthy.
Mr. McCarthy,
myself, Mr. McCarthy,
Mr. Peck,
Mr. McCarthy?
Mr. Perrin.
Mr. McCarthy.
Okay, so I'd like to congratulate Mr. Perrin and Mr. McCarthy as vice chair and clerk as we move forward. All right, any other matters before us?
No.
Okay,
I just need
anybody
to,
have any comments, questions? Next meeting, Swathi?
No, I just have the applications for next meeting.
Yeah.
That's
What's the date of the next meeting?
all.
I think I actually,
March 10th.
March what?
Monday, March 10th.
Monday, March 10th. Okay. So our next meeting is Monday, March 10th. So with that, I'd like to adjourn. Could I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
So moved. Good evening.